How is everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing great. I am awake, thankfully, finally. I had a little bit of a mishap last night. It was a little bit of a medication related mishap, actually. I've been dealing with this cold, so I'm going to be a little bit sniffly today, and sneezy possibly. I've been dealing with this cold, and so last night, in preparation for my live, I didn't want to be sniffly and sneezy, so I thought that I would take some cold medicine. So I went to the medicine cabinet, and we didn't have any cold medicine except cold medicine that had was drowsy cold medicine. And I thought, well, I'd rather relieve this stuffy runny nose while I'm trying to diamond paint and deal with a little bit of drowsiness, and I can just drink some caffeine. And some caffeine will counteract the effects of the drowsiness, right? Wrong. Um, so I fell asleep. I fell right asleep. I turned Mindy's live on and I was out. Just out for the count. But of course, because I fell asleep at 7 o'clock, I then woke up at midnight and was up for the rest of the night. So I was up from midnight until 6 this morning and then slept from about 6 until 9:30. And now I'm finally, you know, back among the land of the living. Um, but I'm sniffy nosed and all. So I apologize for that. How's everybody doing this morning? I wasn't sure if anybody was going to be around this morning because I know I'm usually a late night person. Um, let's see who's here. Who's up and about? Nancy's here. Hi, Nancy. And Jody. Good morning. I already talked to Jody today. Irene's awake this morning. She's having her coffee. Every time you get comfortable in a chair, I fall asleep. I know. Same. I get comfy and I just nod right out, especially if I don't have something entertaining to watch. Um, Sherry's here. Hi, Sherry. And Dawn. And Sue's here. Hi, Sue. I talked to Sue this morning too. And Lizetta. Hello, Lizetta. I talked to Sue this morning. She said, "What happened to Angie last night?" I think she texted me last night, but like I said, I was out. I was I was out. So today I am working on. I started working on this last week, and this was on my table. Now this wasn't a new start technically. I had started this last year, and before I even finished my last Josephine wall from Diamond Painting Deutschland, I started this one. This is the Three Graces, and it's a square diamond painting. The last one I did from Diamond Painting Deutschland, the Josephine wall, was a round diamond painting. This one's a square, and I started this before I even finished the last one. But I didn't get very far. I didn't even finish a complete section. So when I pulled this out last week, I still had half of this section to complete. So I finished yesterday, I finished the rest of this section, and I got last night through the night about, I would say, a good more than halfway through this area from here to here. So I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. So all I've got so far is a tree. This one has, I think this one only has, well, it doesn't number the colors over here. I think this one has, the other one had 250 colors. I think this one has 240. So just a few less than the last one that I did. But these little containers, I know everybody hates these little containers, but for a diamond painting like this, where you have so many colors and just a small amount of each color, these really are handy because I can lay them all out and see everything that I got going on. Nothing worse than a spring cold, is there? Oh, goodness. Yeah, summer colds suck, but a spring cold sucks too because it's just here in Michigan, it is a really, really damp time of the year. We're getting a lot of rain. I know Jody and Irene both said that it's rainy where they are in Washington and in Vancouver Island. We get a lot of, dreary, rainy days, and our, furnace is still running, but it's not running, at full winter speed. So it's just kind of damp and dreary and yucky, just yucky. And I swear, Caden, Caden, he's got me in some kind of a mental state. I was using my favorite pen in my favorite tray, which is my little cheapo white tray, and then I thought, well, Caden's always giving me heck because I always use that same pen in that same tray, so I better grab something different. So I grabbed this tray, which is a gorgeous tray. It's from Bella Art de Nicole. It's really pretty. It's got the orange on the bottom and the purple sides. And I can tolerate this one because it's short-sided. But it's a very big tray for the little bit of drills that I need per color for this diamond painting because there's not, very many of each color per section. And then I grabbed this pen, which is from Enabler's Outpost. It's supposed to be a color changing pen, but my hands are so cold. My hands never quite get warm enough to change the color from black to red. So, but I grabbed this one because I don't have a multi-placer on the end. I rarely use this one because there's no multi-placer on the end. Just because I'm too lazy and I haven't done it. But I don't need a multi-placer with this diamond painting because there is no multi-placing. This is a perfect kind of diamond painting for Sue. Sue doesn't even use a multi-placer. She single places everything. I'm not sure what the dimensions of this diamond painting are. I think it's like 80 by 100 or 60 by 100 or something like that. I mean, it's pretty large. It's a pretty good size one. So, I've got to talk about one other thing, just in case anybody in here or anybody on the replay that watches is participating in the Mystery Mania event. When I posted the new post on Saturday morning for week 4, I forgot to say put your finished photos in that week as well. So if you have so definitely put your progress photo in there, but then if you have a finish, put a second photo in there for your finished photo. And that'll both go in the same week. So you technically get 2 points for the last week if you finish. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that because I didn't say in the original post, I didn't say to put finished photos there too because, man, this month has sure gotten away from me. I didn't even realize that it was the end of, I should have realized when I put on there week 4, but it didn't hit me until Mindy mentioned it this morning that, yeah, this is the end of it. This is the end of the event. So I did woefully terrible on my mystery painting. I've come to the conclusion, I believe, and I don't know how everybody else feels about mysteries, but that was the first real mystery kit that I worked on. And I have come to the conclusion that I don't think mystery kits are for me. I didn't love the experience. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I tried it. I'm glad that I did the event, of course. But I don't think I will be doing any more. How do you guys feel about mystery kits? If you've done them, do you love them? Do you hate them? Are you just so about them? If you have never done them, would you want to do one? Just out of curiosity, let me know. Oh, Sue, it snowed yesterday. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Oh, hi, Catherine. How are you? And Jennifer's here. Hi, Jennifer. Yes, I was feeling terrible last night. I'm still feeling terrible. I could do it in 19 days. What could I do in 19 days? This diamond painting? No, I couldn't. Only Sue can do a diamond painting in 19 days. You love the mysteries? Hi, Tammy. Hi. Good morning to you. And Carol, hello. Hi, Anonymous. Woke up to snow yesterday. Ugh, I know, I'm so over it. So over it. Dawn, you're loving the mysteries too, huh? Hmm. If you do one, just make sure it has lots of different colors. Mine was just all white and different shades of gray and blue. Boring. Yeah, yeah. Sherry, I'm with you. Yeah, they mess it. I've discovered that it really messes with my eyes. Um, it really messes with my eyes. So maybe I will not finish the one that I started, and since since Sue loves them. Sue, do you have the one that I'm working on? If you don't have it, I'll bring it to you and you can have it. I'll bring it to the retreat. Oh, good, Nancy. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you had fun. Yeah, Jennifer, same. I totally rely on the colored background. I didn't realize how absolutely dependent I am on that darn colored background until I worked on that mystery kit, and it really messed with me. And then the black and white, just I don't know, it just everybody likes something different, and it just wasn't enjoyable for me. It just was not an enjoyable process. And I'm not gonna, I mean, just because I did the event, I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, it was great, I loved it. I didn't care for it. I did not care for the process whatsoever. So it's been like pulling teeth for me. Haha, no pun intended. I have no teeth. Um, but it's been like pulling teeth to try to get myself to work on that darn thing, just because it's hard to do something that you're not enjoying. I mean, that goes for anything in the world, right? I mean, it's probably why I don't clean the house very much. It's hard to motivate yourself to do something um, when you're not enjoying it. And our craft time should be a time of enjoyment. It should You should be doing something while you're doing it. You should be enjoying doing it, which is probably why I put away my cross stitch stuff for a long time. Um, I do enjoy doing cross stitch. However, my vision is becoming. I mean, I'm getting older, right? So as my vision is deteriorating, I'm having a harder and harder time seeing um, to cross stitch. So it's not as enjoyable for me. I need to get to the eye doctor. I need to get my prescription upgraded, uh, and then maybe I can get back to it and enjoy it. Even with readers, I find that with readers it's almost worse with cross stitch um, because I have to look up and look at the pattern. So then I'm, adjusting my eyes. I'm adjusting my vision from the close up with the readers to looking at the pattern with normal eyes. And then I can't hardly see the pattern with my normal eyes. So I got to put my regular glasses on. And it's not fun. So all of my cross stitch, I packed up all of my projects and I put them all in one central location, and they're packed away as of now. And I'm just going to kind of put that on the back burner until I get some new glasses and can maybe see a little bit better, and then I'll revisit it. But with with the mystery kits, I didn't like Jennifer was saying, I rely on the background colors, and I just I don't know, didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy it. So I will probably, if I'm being honest, I'll probably never finish the kit I started. It probably is beautiful. I don't know what it looks like, but it probably is beautiful, but I just don't think I just don't think it's for me. Just not for me. You're doing a black and white Josephine wall, Tammy? Wow. Wow. Oh, what number is it, Sue? It is 33. It's the David McLean. I think it's 33. Let me see. I can see it across the room. Let me see if I can read it from that far away. A.B. Mystery. 33. Yep. I don't think you have this one. Because I know we have the other one together that we already know what it is. I know we both have that one, but I don't think you have this one. Unless you got it and didn't tell me. So I suppose that's possible. I've got to switch back to my old tray, you guys. I can't do it. I love I love my white tray too much. So I tried, right? I always try. I really put in a valiant effort. I mean, that wasn't so valiant, but I always put in an effort to try new things, but I always end up going back to my trusty, dusty old things. We're all creatures of habit in that way, aren't we? Most of us are. I think most of us are. I'm not sitting here doing nothing right now. I'm trying to find my symbol. I know what I'm looking for. There it is. The megaphone. I'm looking for the megaphone. I love, the other thing I love about these Diamond Painting Deutschland kits is, I don't know if this is true company-wide for them, but I know that at least for the 2 Josephine Wall kits that I have done, that I have worked on from them, they use the same symbols for the same DMC number. So the symbol for 647 for the other kit that I worked on was also the megaphone. So it kind of, I kind of got used to what colors, at least what color family, each symbol kind of was. And I tried to, when I arranged my drill storage containers, I tried to arrange them similarly to the way I arranged the other kit. And so I always keep them in this order on my table, so I kind of know where each color is. And it's surprising how quickly you get used to where your drills are, even with having so many colors. But I was just having a space out moment there for a second. I couldn't remember where this one was. Couldn't quite remember where this one was. But I love this. This is my jam. Now, there's a lot of people who wouldn't care to do this kind of a kit with, so many colors that, they wouldn't like it or wouldn't find it enjoyable. This I find super enjoyable. This is like my favorite kind of diamond painting to do. I'm not even a huge Josephine Wall fan, but I love having so many colors. I think is the big draw for me is having all of these colors. So, yeah, this is my favorite kind of diamond painting to do. Definitely. And definitely not a mystery kit. So, Tammy, tell me about the black and white Josephine Wall that you're doing. Do you mean that the image is in black and white, or just the background is in black and white? Sherry, yes. I have tried the stamped cross-stitch kits. I have bifocals. I actually have trifocals. I have, the readers and the mid-range and the distance. They're blended, but yeah, I need a new prescription. I've had these glasses for probably 7 years, and I've aged a lot in the last 7 years. Gosh darn, with everything I've had going on, and just in the past 2 years, physically, I feel like I've aged 20 years in the past 7. I wish I could go back 7 years ago and have the body I had then, the body and the mind and the abilities. I was thinking about that last night. you know, as I had fallen asleep at 7:30, I was thinking, man, back in the day, to fall asleep at 7:30 on a Saturday night, that would have been like, you know, that never in a million years would have happened because we used to be pretty big partiers, uh, and our weekends would not have been so boring. In fact, I think I fell asleep quite early on Friday night as well. I woke up at 10:30. I did fall asleep real early Friday night because I woke up at 10:30 and Jeff was already in bed too, and of course Nate wasn't. But I woke up and I was thinking, man, poor Nate. He's got just bum parents. Friday and Saturday night we're both in bed before 10 o'clock. That's pretty bad. He doesn't mind though. He does his own thing. You don't have that one, Sue? All right, perfect. I'll pack it up and bring it to you. You're going to have to deal with it. It's kitted up in these containers, though, and I know that most people don't like these containers, but you'll have to live with that. I will pack it up and bring it with me, and you can have it. Good. That, you know what, that relieves a lot of pressure off my mind, knowing that I don't have to work on it. I'm gonna forgive myself and just not feel guilty about it and just chalk it up to, you know, an experience tried. It's still a lot of fun to see what everybody's doing and to watch them all turn into something, though. Watch all these mystery kits turn into something cool. There was a lot of this symbol in this section. Quite a few, quite a few. Sherry, you always use the same pen and tray? Yeah. I don't think that it's not, I mean, I don't know why I let Caden get to me, that little stinker. I just let him get right under my skin with that comment. You know, you ever notice that sometimes something just sticks with you? You know, if somebody says something, it just sticks for some reason. And that one just stuck. But I do love this tray a lot more. And I like my little skinny pen a lot more. Oh, it's from the one with the diamond art. All their J walls are black and white. Oh, jeez. Jeez. Background is white and the symbols are black. It's the same as a mystery kit, but you know what the picture is. Okay, Tammy, that makes sense. Carol said I got 2 J walls from the one with the diamond art, and both are black and white kits. They look like mystery kits, but so many very small symbols. I decided I wasn't quite ready for them. Yeah. That's one thing I was talking about last weekend. The symbols on this canvas are very small, so it is a bit challenging with some of the more intricate symbols. Let me see if I can find one that's, well, for example, you see these 2 Christmas bulbs right here? This Christmas bulb is striped on the bottom and open on the top, horizontally striped. This Christmas bulb has vertical stripes, but they're both kind of similar background colors. So on the canvas, it's actually, because the symbol is so teeny on the canvas, it's a little bit difficult to differentiate which one of these bulbs it actually is. You really have to kind of look to see. And then on the canvas, also, these 2 symbols look really similar. This one is the battery symbol. Whoops, the battery symbol, and then this like volume up symbol. those look similar on the canvas too. So those, and because they're white rather than, black outlined, they're a little bit hard to tell apart from one another as well. So I got to do a little bit of extra looking when I'm working with those ones. Sherry, I do not use a light pad. I don't care for light pads. I don't know why. I just well, for one thing, right now I don't have a light pad. I have had several light pads. Not several, but a few. I gave one away to a friend who had started diamond painting and was having problems seeing her canvases because I didn't use it all that often. And then I got another one. I got a bigger one, a A2. No, A3. Not the biggest one, the middle one, A3. And but I never used it. Then I got one as a tester, another A3 that a company sent me to test. And that one was really cool because it had like different light options. It had like, you could choose either blue light or yellow light or white light. And it was cordless, rechargeable and cordless, which was really nice. But then what happened was my girlfriend, who I had given my first light pad to, it finally broke. And we're talking, this was like 2 years later. It finally quit on her. And so I gave her my A2 or my A3 light pad, one of them, but I couldn't find the cord to the other one. And I still can't find the cord to it. So at the current moment, I mean, I do have a light pad, but it doesn't have a cord. Can't find the cord anywhere because, the state of my craft room. But I have, that's exciting news. So yesterday, guess what I did? You guys are going to be so impressed with me. I sat here and I spent about 2.5 hours and I cleaned my craft room. I did. I spent a good 2.5 hours cleaning the craft room. I took out, you guys, it's almost it's not almost embarrassing, it is embarrassing. I took out an entire full-size garbage bag full of garbage. Not gross garbage like kitchen refuse or anything, but a whole just packaging and partial pieces of little pieces of crocheted stuff that I had started as a experiment and then realized I didn't like it. Little partially started projects and mostly in toolkits from budget friendly kits that I don't have the space to keep around anymore, and a lot of packaging. But I took out a whole garbage bag full of junk out of here and just got rid of it. And it felt so good to get that crap out of here. And so I organized quite a bit and cleared up some space. So I did spend 2.5 hours working on the craft room. I think the reason I did it was because after talking to Mindy on Friday, man, she got me feeling guilty. We were talking on Friday during the crochet along about how all I do is craft. I was feeling kind of guilty that all I do is craft. I don't ever really do anything, I guess you could say productive. But so she got me feeling a certain kind of way, and I decided that I better shape up and get down to business, get some stuff done. You need light pads for crystals. For crystal kits? Why would that be, Sue? I mean, I'm not denying you, but I never heard that. Oh, Dawn, the sewing machine. The sewing machine. Let's talk about that for a minute. So, I did do it. I did it. Before I started cleaning the craft room, because I had the sewing machine all set up on this table, from last week's live. And so before I started cleaning, I decided that I was going to figure this damn sewing machine out. And guess what? I was making it way, and you guys were probably, I know everybody was just yelling at me on that live. I was making it way harder than it needed to be. The thing has a self threader. All you had to do was put the thread into that last little part, push the lever down and push it back, and it threaded the needle for you. I didn't even have to do all that. And then what I was missing, the part I was missing was the bobbin thing. When you put the bobbin in, you were supposed to wrap it around this little hook latch thing, and I wasn't doing that. So after I wrapped the bobbin around that little latch and did the self threader for the upper thread, then to get the bobbin thread and the upper thread together, you just had to push this one button twice and it put it together for you, and then you were ready to go. So I did sew. I sewed this piece of fabric together. Woohoo! So I did sew, but I didn't continue reading the directions correctly because what I failed to do at that point was I failed to lift the presser foot up and pull my thread out before I cut my thread off. And I just cut it off while the presser foot was still down. And I somehow, it stretched and bounced back and unthread the needle in the upper thread. And by that time I was just over it, and I wanted to get to cleaning the craft room. So I counted it as a success because I did actually sew something, and I put it away. I put the whole damn thing away because I don't really have any material anyway to do anything with. I need to invest in some material to practice with, and that's just not in the budget right now. So, I'll come back to it. I will come back to it. It is something that I want to do because I do want to, like I said, make some project bags for crochet projects. So I will definitely come back to it, but not at this point. Not at the moment. It's going to be a down the road project. But I did get it. Hey, Caden, I was just talking about you. Your ears must have been ringing. I was talking about you. So when I started out today, Caden, I was using a different tray from Bella Art de Nicole, and I was using my Enablers Outpost pen. But I just switched back to my good old favorite one because you weren't here. And now you're here. Congratulations on your driver's license. I saw that on Facebook. So happy to hear that. So everybody, you know what? Be careful out on the roads. Caden's driving now. Caden is driving, and he is going to be tearing up the town. Yup. Tearing up the town. Yes, Anonymous, I do have a garden. It's not quite time yet here in Michigan for gardening, unfortunately. In fact, my perennial garden is still covered I keep it covered with leaves and straw in the winter, to protect the perennial plants from getting killed by late frosts because they try to poke up early when we have unseasonably warm weather in the early spring, like we have had here. So I still have my perennial garden covered. I was tempted when it was nice out last week to uncover my plants, but I resisted that temptation, and I'm glad I did because we're back to getting colder nights, and I'm not confident that we're done with hard frosts. And in years past, I have actually started seeds in the spring in the house, but I just did not feel like with having Junebug here, Junebug and Bouduc, they wrestle and play like there's no tomorrow. And I can just see them just making a nightmarish mess of my seedlings if I were to try to start them in the house like I would like to, or like I have in the past. So I didn't start any seedlings in the house this year. I don't have a greenhouse. I'm not that lucky. Jeff and I have talked about it several times that we would like to have a greenhouse, but that's just a big, big, big job. Big, big job. Maybe someday, if we don't have chickens, we could convert the chicken coop into a greenhouse. But I like having chickens. We talked about that too, whether or not we're going to get baby chicks this spring. And I don't know the conclusion that we came to on that. On one hand, we want to, but on the other hand, do we really? Because then you got to have a heat lamp in there to keep them warm, because they've got to stay a certain temperature until they get to be a certain size and they can regulate their own body temperature. And I don't know if we want to deal with all that. And then the other thing is, now I know that other people have had success with this, but we've never had real good, other than when we have had hens that have decided to sit on their own eggs, and we've hatched baby chicks that way. And when that has happened, we have had free range chickens, and it was in the middle of summer, and the mother hens would kind of keep their babies away from the rest of the flock, kind of keep them safe. But we've also had it where we had an existing flock of chickens and then bought new babies in the spring and introduced the new babies into the coop just right with the older chickens. And we have not had great results with that, with the way that the babies were treated by the older chickens. So I don't know if it was just that one batch of chickens that acted that way, because I know that other people, when they get new baby chickens and they put them in with their existing flock, it's not a problem. So I don't know if we just had a feisty group that time or what, but we have never, since we had that one bad experience, whenever we get baby chicks, we always keep the babies separated from the rest of the existing flock until they're a little bit bigger. So what we did is we took our chicken coop. Our chicken coop was like a rectangular shaped with like a lean-to roof on it, and we took it and we put an addition. We built an addition onto our greenhouse, or onto our chicken coop, and so then we could partition it off and have the babies on one side and the existing flock on the other side, and kept them separate that way until the babies got a little bit older. But that went a long way from do I have a garden, right? That's where that question started, was with do I have a garden? So yes, then we also do a I said do. We also do a vegetable garden. We have 3 large raised uh, garden beds, and we grow tomatoes, green beans, hot peppers, green peppers, sugar snap peas, sweet potatoes, onions. What else do we have? What else do we have? I think that's it. Oh, zucchini. Gotta have zucchini. And I think that's it. I think that's all we grow. I mean, we've tried other things over the years, but to not much success. We have a huge, huge problem with rabbits in our yard. So we have to be a little bit, more than a little bit, we have to fence sections in that the rabbits will eat. And it's a pain in the ass. It's a huge pain in the ass. But the rabbits will absolutely decimate the green beans and the sugar snap peas if you don't protect them. Not so much the tomatoes and the peppers, but definitely the beans and the peas. Mindy's here. Hello, Mindy. Oh, Berta's here too. Good morning, Berta. Oh, you don't put chicks in with the flock, Mindy. Okay, all right. I wasn't. I know some people do, but we've never had luck putting in chicks with the flock. We always have kept them separate. The one time we did try to do it, it was not a good result. They we'll just leave it at that. I won't get any more descriptive than that, but it was not a good result. But like I said, that when we have had hens who have hatched their own eggs, then the mother hen could kind of scurry them away from the rest of the flock, and it was fine then because she could kind of protect them. But when we buy new chicks, we don't do that. We definitely keep them separate. So I'm glad to know I'm not totally off base with that. I thought maybe we just had some weird carnivorous chickens or something that decided to kill the babies, but I'm glad that I'm glad that's a common thing. We don't have bad carnivorous chickens. We were talking chickens made me think of a funny story. The one flock of chickens that we were talking about poor Mindy's rooster Chuck, who has to go away because he couldn't stay home where he belonged. We were talking about that Friday in the live, and we were talking about my crazy rooster named Crazy, and how we eventually had to turn him into chicken soup because he was so violent and nasty towards everyone. And it got me to think about his sons, Harley and Marley, and what cool roosters they were. We were talking about that on Friday too. And Harley and Marley were really cool roosters until they weren't anymore. Marley stayed a very cool rooster. Harley, on the other hand, didn't quite make it to be a really cool rooster. And it's kind of a funny story. Now, if you're squeamish in any way, this might not be a funny story. But if you understand farm life, this is kind of a funny story. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Oh. Brenda's here. Good morning, Rhonda. Yeah, Tammy, that's about when weekend plant is mid-May. Definitely. Definitely. Definitely the Jennifer says the green thumb went past you and your mom. I love gardening. Uh gardening is awesome. It's one of my favorite things. Flowers and vegetables. I prefer flower gardening. I love perennial gardens. I used to do huge annual plantings as well. We have a wraparound front porch, and I had Jeff install hooks in the in each partition of between the upright posts. And I used to do big hanging baskets in each of those, and then I had big railing planters to either side. So I had two railing planters and one big hanging basket per section, and it's a wraparound porch that goes around like half the front of our house and all the way up the other side. So it was a ton of flowers, a ton of flowers. I would spend easily 2 hours a day just watering and deadheading all of those planters on the front, and that was just on the front porch. And I don't do that anymore. I decided several years ago to concentrate my flower budget into growing my perennial garden in the backyard, because that's where we spend all of our time. And I decided, why should I spend money and energy on the front of the house for other people to see? We don't spend any time out front, right? Why wouldn't that time and energy and money be better spent improving the back of the house where it's private, where we actually spend all of our time and enjoy the fruits of my labor myself, rather than having it out front for everybody else to enjoy? So, that was kind of one of those duh revelations that I came upon. And so I quit doing all the big stuff out front and just concentrated on doing it in the back. And really, there was actually a very, very traumatic event that happened to me in the front of my house, um, that kind of coincided with that realization, that made me scared to work out in the front of my house. Um, and So that's the real reason why I quit. And I think I've talked about it on here before. I mean, I can tell the story again if you want, but it's it's not a nice story. It's just it was a sucky thing. Basically, what happened was um, there was a guy walking. We have a rail to trail that crosses across the street from our driveway, and there was a guy out there with a dog not on a leash, and his dog came running into my yard after my dog, and words were exchanged. And yeah, I was shitty. I was upset. My dog was old. I didn't, his dog just came running into my yard, and I told him, get your dog on a leash, and I didn't say it nicely, and it turned physical, and the guy actually physically assaulted me. He ended up going to, getting arrested. And ever since then, I don't spend time in my front yard like I used to. So that's kind of when the focus shifted from the front flowers to the back flowers, which in the end is a better thing. It's a better deal. So How do you keep birds out of strawberries? I have no idea. I have never grown strawberries. That's one thing that I have never done. I know how to keep rabbits out of beans and peas, but I don't know how to keep birds out of berries. I would think aviary netting. We had to get some aviary netting. You can order it on Amazon in very big. We ordered a. I'm trying to find a symbol right now. Is why I'm stuck here. We ordered some. There it is. I always have a hard time finding that one. We ordered some aviary netting that was like 100 foot by 100 foot because we had this idea that we were gonna cover the run to our chicken coop because we were having a problem with owls, and so you can get it in a uh, very big size on Amazon, and it wasn't all that expensive. I want to say it was like maybe $50. Of course, that was years, that was a few years ago, so I'm not sure how much it would be now. Everything increases in price, you know that. But I'm not sure about strawberries. I tried to grow strawberries once and failed miserably. I don't know if, do strawberries need a longer growing season than maybe what we have here in Michigan? Well, no, that can't be true because I've been strawberry picking. Here in Michigan, so that can't be true. We definitely have strawberry fields around here. I don't know. I don't know, but I know that I've never had success with strawberries. Mindy, have you ever grown strawberries? Silver turning wheel. Bird feeder. Oh, Rhonda, deadheading is the whip. I love deadheading. Deadheading is like my favorite pastime. I even deadhead petunias, and they say that you don't have to deadhead petunias. I say pshaw. If you deadhead anything, it will make it bloom better. I don't care what it is. The more you deadhead, the more blooms you'll get, no matter what the plant. I love deadheading. It's so relaxing, isn't it? It's just like it just you just all your cares go away and you just lose yourself in it. I do anyways. One of my favorite things to do. What? Oh, Mindy, you've never heard that story? I've told that story. That happened in. I'm trying to think what year that happened. 2000. Nate was born in. It was either 2015 or 2016 that happened. But it took a serious toll on me. I ended up with a concussion. I ended up having to go to the hospital. I had a concussion. He punched me in the head until I passed out. It was bad. It was a bad deal. I suffered a lot of mental anguish because of it. To this day, I don't go out front and work on the landscaping or anything. That's why the front of my house is so plain now. The front of my house used to be just loaded with flowers and pretty landscaping, and I don't go out there anymore unless Jeff is out there with me. I won't go work out there unless I'm not alone, and that's to this day. And that's 8 years later, and I'm still scared to go out there by myself. And it's not like we live in a bad area. We live in the country. It was just this one crazy guy. but he ruined, he totally ruined my enjoyment of my front of my house. And it sucks. But, I've gotten a lot better. I struggled with it mentally for a long, long time. It was very traumatizing. Very traumatizing. Um, but I'm a big believer in karma. And people like him will, get what they deserve in the end, because he legally ended up with basically a slap on the wrist. Um, First offense kind of thing. And, but yeah, it was bad. And then I couldn't even, because of the way the laws are in Michigan, I couldn't even get a PPO, a protection order from him, so that he couldn't come by my house on the rail trail. Because in Michigan, to get a personal protection order, you have had to have had a prior relationship. There had to have been like some I don't really even remember exactly the parameters, but because he was nobody to me, he was a stranger to me. There was no way for me to get a personal protection order from him so that he couldn't come by my house on the rail trail. So, I mean, they told him, stay away from there, don't use that part of the rail trail anymore. And to my knowledge, he hasn't. I've not ever seen him again. But like I said, I don't go out there. So, who knows? Who knows? Jeff was at work when it happened. So, I was home alone with Nate. And it was, it was not a good day. Yeah. Psycho, right? Mindy, you hate deadheading? Oh my gosh, how can you hate deadheading? Deadheading is the best. It is the best. Love deadheading. I could deadhead all day. In fact, I used to, when I lived in the city, I would, we're going way back now, because I've always gardened, even when I was a young woman, and because we've lived out here where we don't have neighbors. We've lived out here for 21 years. But even when I was in my 20s and I lived in the city, I still had big flower, planted lots of flowers and did lots of flower gardening. And when I lived in the city, I would even go to my neighbor's house and deadhead her flowers for her because I enjoyed doing it so much. When I go to my parents' house, I deadhead for them. I go to my in-laws and I deadhead for her, and I love deadheading. So next time if I come over in the summer, Mindy, I will deadhead your flowers. It's one of my, and pulling weeds. Pulling weeds is also very satisfying to me. I love, anybody else love pulling weeds? Or is that another weirdo thing I do? I mean, I'm fully willing to admit that I am a weirdo. But everybody is somebody's weirdo. Remember that. You are somebody's weirdo. Everybody's somebody's weirdo. Strawberry hanging plants for the backyard, Jody. Huh. Oh, Linda says to try painting small rocks to look like strawberries. Put them out before the berries ripen. That might work. Ooh, jam is the best. I don't know how to make jam. I've never made jam. Sherry's gonna start deadheading at the greenhouses. They might. I don't know if they would appreciate that. Oh, so should we talk about the vintage of the day? No, there is no vintage today. My vintage today is water bottle with my famous Crystal Light with caffeine little packets. These suckers are so good. Wild strawberry flavored. The most delicious thing you could ever drink with caffeine. Sherry, you like pulling weeds. Good. I like, yes, and Rhonda likes pulling weeds. Sherry, yes, we did put up a privacy fence. We did do that. And now I do all my gardening and all my stuff in the backyard. I just don't even go out front. So I used to get people, because we get a lot of walkers on the rail trail, and I would get compliments every day while I'd be out there, compliments on my flowers, and people would walk by just to come and see my flowers because they were, I mean, it was a lot of, it looked like it was, they were huge. And I was one of those people, when I grow flowers, when I make my planters, because I put together my own planters, I don't buy the pre-made planters like from the nursery. I buy flats of flowers and put the planters together myself. And when I do that, I overplant them. So I don't really allow, because I'm Angie and I do everything. I'm Ange NATO, and if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it big. So I always overfill my planters. But what that does is it makes for very, very beautiful full planters. And I really like that look. And so I am also one who, after I overfill my planters, I will put Miracle-Gro in my planters once a week. And I know that that's way more often than you need to, or you probably should. Um, but I do. I do it every 7 days, and it makes them just go crazy. And so I would have huge, beautiful, lush planters. But no more. Those days are over. I've gotten into different things. I went through the gardening phase of my life for, I was really, really big into it for about 25 years, and I don't know if I'm taking a break from it or if I'm completely over it mentally. But the past 2 summers, I have not, even though we have had a vegetable garden and I have had, my perennial garden, I haven't spent much time out there, and I wasn't really into it like I used to be. I like I said, I don't know if it's just a phase I'm going through or if my focus has completely changed and my interest is over in that kind of thing. But it could be either one. I mean, people do change, right? Your focus and your interests change over time. Or maybe I just burned myself out and I needed a break and I'll go back to it. Who knows? Who knows? Hey, Michelle, how are you? Oh, your mom's in the hospital. I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, I hope that she is doing okay. That's never a good thing. That's always hard, isn't it? Dawn, you like deadheading and pulling weeds too? Cool. So does Jennifer. Awesome. When I was young, my brother got a penny a weed. You got a nickel a weed? Jennifer, that's big time, man. I could have made out like a fat rat if somebody would pay me a nickel a weed. That's a good idea. Maybe I should try to sell that to Nate. My perennial garden right now is a mess. Just an absolute nightmare mess. And I have one thing I do want to do this year. I bought at Menards about, this is going to really, really, there's a reason for this. Okay. So I was at Menards at the end of the season, the end of the growing season, about 10 years ago. And they were discounting all of their fountains, like garden fountains. And they had this gorgeous, gorgeous fountain that I had had my eye on all summer long. and I decided that I was going to buy this fountain because it was on such a good discount. So I bought the fountain 10 years ago. That fountain is still sitting in the box in my garage. I've never installed it, never set it up. And the reason for that is that I couldn't decide exactly where I wanted to put it. So now that my perennial garden has kind of transformed and grown over the years, I know exactly where I want it. So maybe this summer I will get that fountain installed. I think that would be a good summer project because I ended up building, we have on the back of our house, we have a wooden deck off sliding glass patio doors off of the back family room. And then next to that wooden deck, between the deck and the perennial garden, was an area of lawn that was directly behind our bedroom. And it was just kind of like a nothing, like a no man's land. There was just nothing there. So I decided, and I did this 10 years ago. I decided to build a patio, a paver patio. So I did all by myself. Jeff didn't help me at all, and that has turned into a weeding nightmare because I used patio blocks and I put gravel in between the patio blocks, but the weeds will grow up through the gravel between the patio blocks. So that, I think I'm going to pull up some of those patio blocks and put the fountain there. And I think that that's going to be this summer's project. I think I've finally decided that that's where I want it. I'll have to take some video of it I'll take some before and after video of it. I can't wait until it gets nice enough to be able to go outside. I think I'm going to try to spend a little bit more time outside this summer. Like the past 2 summers, I don't know if it was my health or just that I was too busy crafting or what, but I did not spend very much time outside the past 2 summers. Yeah, I don't know what it, yeah. I think it was a lot to do with my health, Anonymous, too, that I didn't exactly lose interest. It was just that when I would go out there, I couldn't physically do what I wanted to do for as long as I wanted to do it, and it frustrated me. And so I just said screw it, and everything kind of went to heck. But I don't know if I've got spring fever or what, but right now in my mind I want to get back out there and get back into it. How do I have a round drill? Where did that come from? I'm not even working on a round kit. A round drill just randomly showed up there. Now I'm getting to the kind of the end of this section, and I've got all these little random open spaces, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to BS with you guys while I'm working on. That's one of the things with working on this kit during a live. It's a little bit more difficult just because I'm searching for symbols, because you're really just kind of like, pecking and you have a few drills here and a few drills there of one color. You don't have very many of any one color to do. And it gets to be a little bit hard to do that in chit chat. But I'll do my best, and that's the best I can do. So I got to make another video today when I'm finished with this, because week 3 closed yesterday for the Mystery Mania event. and week 3 was my week. So I will be making that video after I'm finished with this live here, and I'll put that out and I'll attach it to the Facebook group. So if you're participating in that event, we'll pull the winner for that. Who'll install it if I leave my craft room? Oh, Sue, you're right. I know. I will install it. I can do stuff, Sue. Like, do you realize that we have 5 acres and I used to single-handedly take care of all the landscaping here on our property. I did all the mowing, all of the, we have a woods that had, I don't know if anybody knows about Michigan, but we had a problem. I don't know when the emerald ash borer thing really happened, how many years ago that was, maybe 15 years ago. We had this horrible epidemic of this bug called the emerald ash borer, and it was a bug that attacked ash trees, and we had a ton of ash trees on our property that were killed by this bug. So we had all this wood, all these trees that were dead that needed to be cut down and taken care of. And I did all kinds of wood hauling and cutting and all kinds of stuff. And then we've got the pond, so we have to treat the pond with chemicals so we don't get overrun with algae. We have tons of poison ivy around the pond, so I'm constantly battling with. I shouldn't say I am because I don't do it anymore, but I would constantly battle with that, and I did all the the flowers and the gardening and the landscaping, but I kind of retired. I kind of retired from that. But I can do things, Sue. Or I used to be able to do things, I should say. Oh, peonies. Who said something about peonies? Oh, yeah, Rhonda. Seed harvesting is awesome. I love seed harvesting too. I did one year where I had harvested seeds from the previous year. I had this rack in my garage with all of these glass jars and all of the seeds labeled. And I completely grew my next year's flowers from my harvested seeds from the previous year. And it was amazing. It was so cool. It felt so good to not have to spend money on flats of plants, and to have grown everything from seeds I harvested myself. That was a blast. That was really fulfilling. That was a very fulfilling feeling. Of course, I only did that one year, and then that kind of fell by the wayside. But yeah, it was. I enjoyed that. That was really cool. Oh, peonies, Jody. Peonies are my favorite. I am absolutely devastated. Okay, my grandmother was my best friend in the entire world. And her favorite flower was the peony. And she had some peonies in her yard. She had 2 big peony bushes back behind my playhouse. Yes, I had a playhouse at my grandma's when I was 30 years old. It was my playhouse since I was a little kid. But she had these 2 peony bushes. When my grandmother passed away, I took I took a part of those peony bushes and brought it home and planted it in my yard. Planted 2 sections of peony that I had taken from her plants, from her bushes. And that was 15 years ago. So I was out in the yard the other day when it was nice out, and I was just kind of doing a tour de property and kind of, looking at everything and seeing how everything was coming up. I had some tulips that were up that were blooming, and I was just kind of seeing where everything was as far as breaking, if anything, was breaking through the ground yet as far as my perennials go or whatever. And I was traveling along the back fence, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, where the hell are my peonies? My peony bushes are gone. Just dead. Gone. So for 15 years, they lived, after I had replanted them, they lived and prospered and did beautiful. And all of a sudden this spring, there's nothing. There's just nothing there. They're just absolutely gone. And I am just devastated about it because, it's not like I can go get, they were my grandma's, you know what I mean? I can't replace them. Um, so I'm absolutely devastated by that. Yep, Sherry, you're absolutely right. One hard rain and the blooms are gone. One hard rain and they're gone. The other thing that's like that is magnolias. I love magnolia blooms, but one stiff breeze and those suckers are done. Magnolias are blooming right now in my area. I just last week when I was at the dentist, I came home and I saw about 3 magnolia trees that were in full bloom. I don't know if they were blooming because we had that unseasonably warm weather or what, but it seemed awfully early for them to be in bloom. But maybe not. Maybe it was right on time. But I love magnolias too. I would say second to peonies, magnolias are my favorite. But they're again another one that doesn't last very long. Judy's here. Hi, Judy and Joe. Hi, Judy and Joe. Got distracted by a Mindy podcast. That's understandable. Ooh, I've never grown lavender, Sherry. That sounds nice. You know what? Maybe, I don't know. There was nothing. I moved the ground around, or I moved the leaves around at the base. There was nothing there. Yeah, Rhonda, exactly. No, there were no sprouts, no nothing, Mindy. It's just like they disappeared. It, it's like I mean, there's not even any remnants of last year's fall down. It's like they were never there. It's like somebody came and dug them up and took them with them. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's super weird. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe my grandma's trying to tell me something. I don't know. Do you ever think about stuff like that? I don't know that I believe in all that, but sometimes it makes you think about it. Sometimes some things make you think about it. Just like whenever my grandma, one of the things, now my grandma, when she passed away, she was 88. And but like I said, she was my best friend. And I always told her that, she wasn't allowed to go anywhere because I still needed her. You know what I mean? She wasn't allowed to leave me. I needed her. She was my best friend. And, unfortunately, she had to. And one of her only lifelong dreams, my grandmother grew up difficult. She had a difficult life in her early years. She had 13 brothers and sisters. Her dad, they had a farm. Her dad was an alcoholic, ended up leaving her mother with these 13 kids to raise. My grandma was among the oldest of the 13 kids. So her and her brothers and sisters kind of had to take over on the farm, and then as soon as she could get out in the world and get a job and help contribute to the family income, she did so. And and then then the depression happened, and she was in her 20s, still working to help her mom raise these other children, and not married or anything, and she she just had a tough time in life. Nothing really came easily for her at the start of her life. Then she did end up marrying my grandpa, and they ended up having a very nice life together. And not a rich life by any means, but a comfortable life. They didn't want for anything, and they built their own house, and they built a nice life together. But they were always very, I think, because they both lived through the depression. They lived very frugally and saved their money, and didn't waste, and but had what they needed. But one thing my grandmother always wanted, her big dream in life, was her only, and this was like her one fanciful thing that she always talked about, is she always wanted to ride in a hot air balloon. That was her big dream in life, was she always wanted to ride in a hot air balloon. Now, I cannot tell you, and she was just obsessed by them. It was kind of cute. She was obsessed with hot air balloons, and I remember one time, this was towards the very end of her life, she said to me, I still would really like to do that someday. And I just remember thinking to myself, Grandma, I don't know that would be safe. You're almost 90 years old. I don't know that we can really get you up in a hot air balloon at this point. But there have been several times since she has passed away where I'll see hot air balloons, like at just the right time, when I feel like I need like a message from her, or encouragement from her, or a shoulder to cry on from her. And, somehow either on TV or in real life, because we do have a lot of hot air balloons. Not a lot, but it's not uncommon to see hot air balloons around here. Um, they do a big festival type thing, hot air balloon thing near here every springish summer, and so it's just really kind of cool. I don't know, like I said, I don't know that I believe in signs and stuff like that, but I do think about my grandma every time I see hot air balloons. What that has to do with peonies, I have no freaking clue. But I guess maybe, point being, the peonies being gone is that my grandma trying to tell me something. Time to turn over a new leaf. I don't know. I don't know. Really, Sherry, lilac? Oh, I thought, okay, lilac doesn't last long, meaning the scent, the blooms don't last long. Yeah, you're right. I planted a lilac bush not too many years ago, thinking, oh my gosh, my house is going to be filled with these, and I planted it close to the kitchen window because I thought I'll have all these gorgeous scents, wafting into my kitchen, and won't that be lovely? Only to find out that lilacs last about, what, a week? That's all you get. So, yeah, they don't last very long either. I thought you meant their lifetime isn't very long. You know what does have a very long lifetime, at least here in Michigan, and is very prolific, at least in my yard, is, oh gosh, now I can't think of the word. Uh, it's kind of like not a desert, yucca. Yucca. I have some of the most prolific yucca plants that you have ever seen. I have had to split them and replant them all around different parts of the yard so many times, all from this one very small planting that a friend gave me several years ago. I've got yuccas everywhere. And it's hilarious because I don't even like them that much, but they just keep reproducing, and I keep having to separate them and move them to other places. So I've got yucca plants all over the place. Anybody want some yucca? Now they do bloom, um, but they don't bloom every year. But I haven't quite nailed down what their blooming schedule is. I've never really looked it up either, though. But they don't necessarily bloom every year. But they will bloom, and they are pretty when they do. But they're an interesting plant. You know, and the one thing that is interesting about the yucca plant is that it's I don't know if it's classified as an evergreen, but it actually does stay green through the winter. Um, which is kind of nice to look out there and see a little bit of green in the middle of the cold Michigan winters. So that's cool. The other thing that, oh my gosh, if I have any more hostas, I will scream. My hostas are just. Does everybody have that problem with hostas that they just go nuts? And I mean, I've got more hostas than I know what to do with. I actually started just ripping out hostas because I have nowhere else to plant them. They grow so big. Well, I gave a lot away. I gave a bunch away. Oh, and you know what else I love? You know what else I absolutely love is irises. Irises are so beautiful, but that's another thing that doesn't last very long either. But I love a good iris. I love a good iris. Dandelion, right, Mindy? Yeah, right. Oh, you know what? Rhonda, it would not be possible to go back and take a clipping because they have since torn down my play shed or my playhouse and tore out the new owners of my grandparents' house. Um, they redid the landscaping and they took down the playhouse and took down the peonies. So they're not there anymore, unfortunately. Which it's kind of a cool story. My grandma and grandpa built their house. And when I say they built their house, I don't mean they had their house built. I mean they built their house with their two hands. My grandpa was a truck driver, and not an over the road truck driver, just a local delivery truck driver. So he was home at night, and they started with it's a brick home. They started with the basement, and my grandpa, dug the basement and poured the foundation and laid the brickwork and everything, covered it, and they lived in the basement while they built the house on top of the basement. And I just think, I don't know, I think that's such a cool story that they did that themselves. My grandpa actually designed the house. He was not a highly educated man. I don't I don't know that he even graduated from high school. I'd have to ask my dad. I don't know if he must have. He he must have graduated from high school. I don't know. He was in did now, okay, I'm going to be like aging myself and I might sound really really stupid here. I know that he was in the army. He was in World War II. He was in Germany and France. Um, Now, is it a requirement? Do you have to have a high school diploma to be in the army? I don't know. He was drafted into the army. I know that. I so I guess I don't know. I don't know that he finished high school. Anywho, that is neither here nor there. The point is that he designed his own house, designed and built his own house. with nothing more than, at best, a high school education, which I think is pretty impressive. Um, and it's kind of funny though because he designed it and then started building it and got, you know, a long ways into it, far enough into it that he couldn't back out, or materials, it was cost and labor prohibitive for him to backtrack at this point, but he ended up putting the stairs in the wrong place. So it was supposed to be a combined kitchen dining room, and then the stairs, and then the living room. Well, he miscalculated and he put the entry stairs in the wrong place, so that it ended up being a galley kitchen, a very, very small dining area, and then the living room with the entry stairs separating the kitchen from the dining area. So it ended up being a really chopped up looking house. Um, but it worked for them. They raised my dad and my aunt there and lived there their entire lives. So it worked. Did deer eat your hostas, Dawn? I have never had deer. I mean, we have deer in our yard all the time. I wish the deer would come eat my hostas. They would keep them trimmed back for me. I've never had a problem with deer in my hostas. Of course, maybe my hostas are too close to my house for the deer. Because the deer will come and get in my garden. They will come and eat my garden, which is close-ish to the house, but not as close as my perennial garden where my hostas are. So, because that's right by my back bedroom window, so maybe they won't come up quite that close. Or maybe they're getting enough good stuff to eat from the garden that they don't need to come to the hostas, right? Why would you eat hostas if you can eat green beans? That's probably what the deer are thinking. Ooh, Mindy, we might have to, oh, Mindy's got to go full close. All right, go full close, Mindy. I know, I should probably get going too. Oh, now you need a GED or high school grad. Oh, but not back then. Okay. Grandpa had grade 6 and was married, or was in the Navy for 30 years. Okay. Yeah, Joe, irises, I love bearded irises, are my favorite. I have some gorgeous purple ones. Just they're multi-tonal and they're so beautiful. Now, I don't know if I don't know all that much about irises. I'm going to be perfectly honest, but I have had mine bloom twice in the same season. I don't know if that's a common thing or if I'm just lucky, but some summers they will bloom twice. My brother-in-law lives in Tennessee and he couldn't believe it when they were here one year and he was like, "Your irises are blooming again?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That would never happen." So I don't know if that just doesn't happen down south or if that's normal or what, but mine will sometimes bloom twice in one season. Jody's irises used to be your favorite. Yeah, you can get too much of a good thing, can't you? Sometimes when family and kids find out that you have a special affinity to something, they kind of tend to overdo it. Yeah. Yeah. We did that with my stepmother used to be really into pigs. So for years and years and years, she got pig everything, pig dish towels and pig figurines and pig everything. And she kind of got over it. And I think that, I probably helped contribute to her getting over her love of pigs because I definitely probably overdid it with the pig themed items. That can happen. Oh, that's awesome, Jennifer. That your son's gonna help you with your building and electrical. That's cool. Yeah, you can send the deer. Your hostas are very close to your house, Dawn, and they still get to them, huh? Huh. Maybe mine are afraid of my. Maybe my deer are afraid of my dog. I don't know. I tend to think. Here's what I honestly. My thinking is, they're probably enjoying the green beans from the garden, so they don't feel they need to come any closer to get to the hostas. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But I'd love it if they would come and have some of my hostas. Because they take over. They take over everything. But, well, holy crap, you guys. I can't believe I've been sitting here talking at you for so long already. I am going to go get myself something to eat. I haven't had anything to eat yet this morning. And we're kind of running on an overabundance of eggs right now. Our chickens are just going nuts laying right now. So I think I'm going to go make, I know it's a little late. For me it is anyways. It's 12:30 here, but I think I'm going to go make some eggs and toast. Have a little bit of breakfast. So, thank you everybody for joining me this morning. It was nice spending the morning with you instead of the night. I got almost this whole section done. I can sit here and finish this up today. I don't have much else going. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I'm gonna pull the winner for the mystery event and get that video out there. So have a look out for that, and I will see you guys later on this week, hopefully. All right, everybody, have a great Sunday. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.